Hello and welcome to Rising Earth News. I'm Lily and today I'm joined by Ian Hutchcroft from Energiesprong, a housing retrofit initiative that transforms existing houses into net zero energy homes. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ian.
You're welcome, good to be with you.
Great. So Ian, currently in the UK, I know that 40% of all UK carbon emissions come from households. So could you tell us why this figure is so high?
Well, yeah, it is a big figure. It's a big part of the challenge, and it's the part of the carbon reduction journey that we don't have a really ready solution for. Those figures are really high because, you know, the physics of energy mean that heating air in space, in houses, is expensive. It takes a lot of energy, as does heating water. It's the biggest part of built environment energy use and carbon emissions. And you know, we didn't have building regulations for energy related issues before the 1980s. So all those houses that were built before the 1980s didn't have to do anything for energy efficiency at all. And even the houses that are being built today, you know, they don't have to be net zero. You know, we really hope they will have to be net zero very soon. But currently, houses built today are going to need to be retrofitted to get them to net zero. So we've got a huge job to do. There's a huge amount of energy and carbon emissions that come from the built environment in general, and about half of those built environment emissions are from houses.
Yeah, so saw a shocking figure that 2/3 of UK homes fail on energy efficiency targets, which isn't great really. So how is Energiesprong focusing on tackling this problem of energy efficiency in homes?
Well, it brings a few different things together. First of all, Energiesprong, it means energy leap in Dutch, and it's a Dutch government developed approach. They've done a really good job for us. It works in the Netherlands. They're doing thousands of retrofits a year, and they're also using it for new build too, all to net zero. So it brings together a few things. First of all, it's about the actual work of retrofitting. You know, it's like creating panels that wrap around the house, and creating the energy module that integrates a heat pump, an inverter for the PV, thermal store, battery store, smart controls, doing all of those things in a factory so that you're delivering components to the house and installing them straight from the lorry. So it really minimizes the disruption on site. You can do it with people living in their homes, do it very quickly. And doing things in factories means that you get better quality. And as the market increases, you can deliver those components at a lower cost. So that's one element, industrialization of the approach. The other important element is a self-financing business case. So when you do a net zero retrofit, it actually creates a lot of value from the energy bill saving and also the maintenance bill saving over the long term. So the Energiesprong approach uses those two savings, the energy saving and maintenance saving, together to finance the capital cost of delivering the retrofit over the long term.
So would you say that essentially what Energiesprong is a flat packed energy efficient home?
You can kind of think of it as an IKEA type flat pack solution. Now, it's not quite as simple as that in every case, of course, and every home is different. But the principle is that industrialized components made to be standardized as possible, but also adaptable to each individual house, focusing on those sort of property archetypes, of which there are millions that basically fit into the same pattern, same form, using those to standardize the approach. That's the way we can reduce costs and get really good solutions.
So you mentioned costs there. So just how affordable are these homes?
Well, at the moment, we haven't hit that self-financing cost point. You know, we think the value of those long-term energy bill savings over about 30 years, plus the long-term maintenance savings over 30 years, for the average UK 3-bedroom house, and these are very average figures, it's about £50,000, we think. That's the value of the savings that a net zero retrofit delivers. So the challenge for the supply chain is deliver a net zero retrofit with guaranteed performance long term at this price, say £50,000 on average, and then it self-finances itself. So you can sell this to homeowners and say to them, you can have a whole house retrofit of your property. It can look whatever colour or look and feel you want, and your energy bill will pay for it. That's the really important sort of tipping point that we want to achieve. At the moment, we need a bit of grant or a bit of additional investment above that 50k figure at the moment. But we are very much at small volumes at the moment. We're just in sort of doing 10s, 20s. We're just moving up into doing blocks of 50s and 100s at the moment. And we are beginning to see some small cost reductions down towards that sort of 50k average figure that pays for itself. But we need to do some more. We need a bit more help with the grants and from government and others. And we need a bit of help with sort of some policy and regulation tweaks. But we are making progress. We're getting there. We've started this journey, and you know, we are making progress.
Oh, that's great to hear, the determination. And so, how disruptive are these homes to the residents? You know, how long does it take for these retrofits to occur?
Well, we've seen in the Netherlands, where the industry is a bit further down the line than we are here in the UK. They've actually done this in one day. So you leave home at sort of 8:30 in the morning to go to work after COVID, and you come back from work at say 5 in the evening, and your house looks completely different. You know, it's got a new look and feel. It looks like a new build home, and when you walk in the door, you can immediately feel that the comfort, the air quality, and the temperature, and the full hot water tank of hot water, you know, you could tell the difference straight away from the outside and the inside of the home.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you say these homes are net zero. So could you just explain a bit about what that means and how it's made possible?
So the approach includes disconnection of the home from the gas network. If it is connected to gas, it's about disconnecting it from the gas network now, because gas is a fossil fuel. So in a zero carbon world, we need to be not using any fossil fuels. So the Energiesprong solution electrifies the heating, hot water services in the house, and of course the existing electric plug power and appliance power and lighting power. So it's an electric solution. It really improves the fabric performance of the property. So you don't actually need very much heating power to go into the house, even on the coldest days of the year. When you do need that heating power, it comes via a heat pump, which is about 3 times more efficient than a standard electric heater. It uses electricity really well to create heat. And it also heats hot water for washing and you know, sink use and the like. So the tenant gets or resident of the property gets a guarantee that their home will be warm every day, with enough hot water every day and enough plug power every day for an affordable cost. And that guarantee is a really important part of it. It means that the solution provider has to make sure that these properties can do this for an affordable cost, or else the solution provider is on the hook for covering any additional costs. And that's a really important driver to make sure that the design and the delivery of that design is top notch.
That's great. And so am I right in thinking that in net zero homes, the amount of energy that goes into the house is the same as the energy that the house is using?
That's right. I should have said that. So I didn't answer your question fully.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. So in that case, where is that energy coming from?
So it's coming from photovoltaic cells on the roof.
Okay.
So by getting the energy demand right down, the energy that's generated by the PV on the roof, over the course of a year, they net off to be zero. So the house generates as much electricity as it consumes over the course of the year. Sometimes it will be when the sun's not shining and the battery is exhausted and the hot water tank is empty. They will need to import from the grid. But at other times they'll be exporting to the grid, and somebody else can use that electricity. When the sun's shining, the battery's full, the hot water tank is full, then they'll be exporting to the grid. So over the course of a year, it nets off to be a net zero energy home. And because it's electrical with a very affordable electrical import, and because the electricity grid is decarbonising really quickly over the next decade or so, we'll be moving towards a very, very low carbon electricity grid. It means that the carbon footprint of that electricity import is quite small now, because it's a small amount of use. And then over time, it's going to reduce to be truly zero carbon.
Yeah. So obviously at Energiesprong, you believe that housing retrofits are a great way to tackle climate change. So could you tell me a bit about why you think it is so important that we get these retrofits done, and in quite good time, really, in terms of climate change and the climate emergency?
We really need to get cracking on this with the built environment. It's not just us saying this. The Committee on Climate Change, the government's statutory advisor on their carbon budgets for the next few years, has really flagged loud and clear to government that they have a big problem around the built environment. If you think about the other big sources of emissions, the electricity sector, well, there's a lot of offshore wind and PV going in around the country. It's decarbonising the grid. If you think of mobility, transport, it is possible right now to go out and buy an electric vehicle, and many companies and individuals are doing that, and that's increasing. It's on the shelf. Whereas with net zero buildings, it's not on the shelf. You can do bits and pieces to your house to maybe knock 30% of emissions off with cavity wall insulation, loft insulation, a more efficient boiler, that sort of thing. But getting to 100% net zero is a real challenge. And that's why the Dutch government and why we've adopted their approach for the UK is why that approach is so important, because it creates a holistic product that's built in a factory, that's built to a high quality, that can finance itself off a business model that uses the long-term guaranteed energy and maintenance savings to finance it. But we need to get cracking on it. We haven't got that on the shelf at the moment. You can't go out and buy this for your own home right now. We're trying to build an industry by building a market up using social housing as the launching market to build that industry and build that product at an affordable rate. And it's not there yet. And it's going to take a few years to get it there, which is why we need to start now. And that's why we have started now.
Yeah, well, that's great. And so we've been talking a lot recently with other people about the Green New Deal at the moment. There's a lot of conversation about the Green New Deal. So do you think that housing retrofit could be something that we tie into the Green New Deal, and that we should be tying into it?
Absolutely. And we have regular conversations with government, with ministers, civil servants. We've been explaining the Energiesprong approach to them. We've had many civil servants come out to see our demonstration projects in the UK, and indeed out to the Netherlands. And we've had very positive feedback from them, and we think they understand what they need to do to make this happen at scale. We've already had some government funding. Some of our projects that are being delivered this year are part funded by government, which is great. And we have bid in for more funding for programs that government have just brought out for COVID recovery, and it's COVID/green recovery. Government have seen this. They are responding, and they are creating funding opportunities for organisations like ourselves who've got something innovative that could deliver really big in the UK in time, that we can bid into and make this go even faster. So fingers crossed, we're going to get some more government money in the near future to do this bigger and better.
That's really great to hear that the government is actually listening to you about things like that and actually investing in you, because I don't want to be too critical, but often you do hear that they're not doing enough on the green recovery. So it's really great to hear that they are investing in, you know, kind of startup companies in the UK like Energiesprong. So that's actually really positive. So I'm really glad that you said that actually. So just for a final question, what does a sustainable future look like to you?
Well, it's zero carbon, isn't it? We've got to get to zero carbon quickly. And I think that world is a good world to live in. It's not just a world that is free from the major climate catastrophe that we're heading for at the moment. It's also a world which is affordable. You know, by using energy sustainably and efficiently, we're not wasting our money, not wasting our household bills on heating our homes that just leaks out of the house straight away. It's about coming home from work or coming home from school on the coldest January evening and your house is warm and it's affordably warm. It hasn't cost you lots of money to heat it. It's warm because it's just efficient. It's got a nice tea cozy around it. It's also a world where our mobility is much better than it is today. You know, the need to travel has been reduced. Our ability to travel via, you know, cycling or walking is better. And if we have to get in a vehicle, or our products, you know, the things that we buy in shops have to get into a vehicle to be moved around, then that's done by an electric or a zero carbon power source. And to me, that just looks like a better world. It looks like a better world to live in. But above all, you know, we have to avoid climate breakdown, and we have to reduce our carbon emissions immediately, as soon as we can, and keep at it and keep at it and keep at it until we get to zero very quickly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, and it's been really great talking to you about Energiesprong.
You're welcome, Lily. Thanks very much for having us on.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.